Welcome to ZenMadman's day number 38 of the Pot Limit Omaha journey. I'm gonna fold. Welcome to day number 38 of ZenMadman's Pot Limit Omaha journey of nuttiness. We're here on the last day of June, checking out some PLO100 as we do every day. At some point, I'm gonna think about moving to PLO200, which is one higher than PLO100. Although actually technically they have PLO150 in the zone. Like you could play fast fold. Was this a limp? This was a limp. But nobody plays it. So you can't really play it. You need at least one other to get it going. So I overlimped here, I believe. I don't think this was a poster. They might have posted though, and if they posted, then maybe I should raise. I don't know. The three's a non-spectacular card, and playing out of position with these smaller flush draws, maybe I should just fold this hand. I don't know. I got lured in by the connectivity, even though it's not very good connectivity. Ooh, I have a straight. I'm lured in by my straight. I'm going to bet $1 and try and get a call from like a pair, or probably not a 6, probably like a pair, or someone who thinks they have a straight. Oh, a pair. They had a 2. They had the lowest pair, so that's cool. Maybe I can raise this on the button, because I am the button. We got a 4-handed game going. Top pair, second kicker, blocker to the flush draw, no backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. That's not. Oh no, I have a gut shot actually. A 10 would give me the not straight. This is the sort of hand that I think we just check back. We turn the second nuts. Maybe we call a bet. Maybe if they check to us, we put a bet in ourselves. I'm going to bet. I think I can actually go with different sizings here because I can have ace queen. That's fairly credible. I'm just going to bet half pot and treat it sort of like an inflection bet. If somebody calls me with a flush draw, that's cool. I'm not paying off your river bet, bro. But if they, I mean, it would be interesting for somebody to like float out of position with the backdoor flush draw, and then if the front door comes in, they can bluff the river. You know, that's something that somebody could do. I don't know. Seems like a reasonable play. I don't think my opponents are going to do that much. I got called down by a deuce. So, you know, on a straight board. All right, so we need to think about two things here. One, this is an $11 raise. The player behind us has $21 more. So if they back raise, then that will not reopen the action. Having said that, if they back raise, we're getting 20 whatever in. This is probably a hand that we can call in a spot like this, but I don't really want them to jam. And I flopped just like super nothing. Like, wow, that's a lot of nothing. I have backdoor hearts and backdoor straight draw. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold. And they did have aces, which is unsurprising and totally fine. The downside is that they had a 10-9, right? And diamonds. And I had... Did I have a 10-9 and diamonds? So we're going to mark that for pre-flop. And post-flop isn't really much to review. I mean, we had nothing and they potted it. So... I just want to kind of take a look at my pre-flop equity in what seems like a fairly poor matchup, right? I mean, I think my pre-flop equity is going to be pretty bad. But even then, I do have position. Here I've got ye old AK-47. And top pair, top kicker, gut shot, straight draw. Just check again. I've got showdown value. I've got a draw. I don't think I can really get much value by betting here. Maybe I could bet and get called by a weaker ace. I think more likely my opponent has nothing, I have something, and we just take the showdown. That's, you know, in Hold'em I would value bet something like that. What did they have? They had looks like they had 8 high. Oh no, they had a pair of deuces. Maybe I get called by a pair of deuces. So we raised tons of hands on the button, heads up. That's all I know. But that's not one of them. That's like got to be bottom 20%, right? King 5-3 deuce with a suited 5. It's got to be in that bottom percent. I know we defend a lot of hands too. Suited ace makes me feel like we could defend this, even though the 9 and 4-3 are pretty bad cards. I'm double block, you know, I'm blocking each straight once, right? So it's kind of like the value of having one jack in my hand is how I see it. Someone can correct me if that's not accurate, but I don't see why it wouldn't be. They bet 3/4 pot. I'm not sticking around for that. You know, while I have those blockers and I have backdoor nut flush draw. It's not anything really to be excited about. In the small blind against a short stack, is this a hand that I raise? I think suited this way, no. If I were suited the other way, I would have given it a bump. I'm going to mark that hand, and we will look it up in the post-session review in the pre-flop matrix, which, exciting news. I now have affiliate status with Upswing Poker, so I'm going to start putting links to things, and then you can buy the things if you're going to buy them anyway, and then I get some money. But I can encourage you to buy the things that I think are helpful. I'm not going to recommend things that I haven't used myself. Overall, I've gotten value out of everything I've gotten from Upswing Poker, but I haven't used all the things. So like the canoe course, right? Which seems, I mean, I've heard it's very good, but I haven't used it personally, so I'm not going to say I think it's very good. I'm going to say here's the things about it if I'm talking about it. But I'm going to make some product reviews, reviews of the Matrix, reviews of PLO Launchpad, maybe of the Heads Up course, things like these. Mostly with the intention of kind of sharing my experience with the tools, right? What have I gotten out of the PLO Matrix? I've actually gotten a lot out of the PLO Matrix personally. So I think I can write a review that's not just like, this is what it is, this is what it does, but is like, here's what I got from it. Here's an actual experience, and maybe that'll shed some light on you, on what your experience might be. My experience here is that I have the second nut flush draw, a gut shot, and a pair of kings. I c-bet this flop. I thought it was pretty decent. I don't know why I, $2. I think I should have half-potted it. But regardless, I am now going to fold my lovely double-suited kings with the second nut flush draw. As I could be forfeiting a fair amount of equity, but I think I'm almost never ahead, and my draw is often covered. It's very easy for them to have an ace with hearts, and then I'm just like drawing to a gut shot or maybe a king. Any 3 Broadway cards with a single suit, I think we can raise on the button. That's something that I've learned from the PLO Matrix. Link in the video description below on YouTube. Twitch, I'm gonna like set my stuff up. No, really, I am, and it'll be good. Okay, I have an open-ended straight draw and the second nut flush draw. Second nut flush draw with someone potting it and someone calling a pot size bet is a lot worse than it would be without that. It does mean, though, that King of Spades gives me the nuts, so I have 7 outs to the nuts, getting 3-1 in position. I think that shall suffice. I also have a queen, so I'm, like, blocking some stuff that can happen. The club coming is fairly poor, I think, as now 2 more of my nut outs are no longer nut outs, right? So now I only have 5 outs to the nuts, 3 of the kings, and 2 of the eights. I have a bunch of outs to the second nuts, but I'm not super confident that those are live. As in, one of these players can very easily have the king-high flush draw. So I think I'm actually just going to have to go ahead and fold this hand that, like, it's got a lot of things going for it. And maybe against a player like this, I should not fold it. But I don't really have that read yet. What did they do previously? They did pot that other hand. All right, we're going to keep an eye on them. And see whether they're just, like, coming with it every hand. And if so, then in the future, hands like this, I will not hesitate to, get it in or call or whatever. It's not like they're playing every hand, though. Ace 10, 7, 5. I've got some connectivity. I've got ace high suit. I believe I can defend this in the big blind. Big blind defense ranges are something that I definitely want to put a little bit more work into. My opponent checks. I have an undergutter, a backdoor nut flush draw. I think, I have no pairs. I'm not really blocking much. They can be check raising here a decent amount, but there's also a reasonable chance that I could have just taken the pot away. Now with the 8 of clubs on the turn, I was considering stabbing there. I think it's easy for me to rep an 8. That's squarely in my calling range pre-flop. And yeah, it's just a very reasonable card for me to represent. I can check back an 8 on the flop very easily. Maybe even check back like bottom 2 pair as well. Ace queen 10 6. I'm not sure. This might be a hand I can play. So we're gonna mark this one. We're gonna mark the previous one for pre-flop. BuffyBot7 says hello. Why hello there. Welcome to the last day of the rest of the month. Yeah, or something. So, June 30th here on Twitch. On YouTube, it's like July 14th at least. Happy July 14th. That's not really a thing, is it? It could be. Maybe July 14th will be very happy. We shall see. Or it could be years into the future. I actually when I edit these videos for YouTube, I don't edit them heavily. I just kind of like trim the intro, trim the outro, and if I spend a lot of time going from the session to review, I cut that out. But I enjoy looking back at like where I was 2 weeks ago, and you know, I mean, it's not like the progress is monumental, but it's significant. I think my confidence has improved a lot. Part of that, like just running well over a period of time, really helps with the confidence. All right, King High board. I think this is actually a board where we're supposed to check a lot, if I'm not incorrect. The button's gonna flat with a good amount of King King. I'm blocking that, so I'm very happy with my hand. The only nut flush draw I don't have, however, I mean the only backdoor flush draw that does not exist on this board is the only one I have. So that's unfortunate. The 7 is not fantastic. I do have nut diamonds blocked. I don't think they're going to have a lot of straight stuff here, but it's kind of hard for me to like credibly bet. Like, what am I repping? I guess I could be repping like going for a check raise with King King, which would be, I think, a reasonable thing to do. If they bet, though, I don't feel like I necessarily need to fold here, right? I don't think I'm check folding. And if a diamond comes on the river, I might try and rep it. I'm going to try and rep it. How much would I bet here? I think I'd bet half pot. Now, I could just full pot it. And here I'm mostly trying to get them to fold like 2 pair, a straight, stuff like that. If they have a small flush, they might not fold it. But I'm basically just trying to think, what would I do in this spot if, say, I had aces with the diamonds, and maybe I would bet the turn, but with the straightening card, maybe not. This is very attractive, but it's not very good, right? The 6 and the 3, I think, make it unplayable. We'll tag that hand too, just for actually, yeah, let's tag the last one, right, for review. As always, here on Twitch, if you are interested in a particular hand, just, you know, shout it out, say what the cards are, and I'll throw it on the review pile. And if you have a suggestion about how to play the hand, I'm super open to that. I always want to hear different voices, other opinions on how to play particular hands. And if you're here on YouTube, then just try to include the timestamp. It's very helpful in terms of helping me go back and see what you're talking about. Oh, Jerome Washington, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Twitch stream. Yeah, we're playing some PLO100, as we do every morning. It's really been a good habit for me just to wake up. And like today, I just wasn't feeling great this morning. Not so much physically, but just like, I don't know, just sometimes just the world, you know, the world gets to me. This is garbage, so I'm going to check. But just like doing my morning routine and then coming here and sitting down and being like, okay, I'm just going to just do this thing. I feel better already, and I'm going to check here. I've got nothing. And then at the end of the session, I know I'm going to review some hands. So I know every day I should be getting a little bit better, right? And I do more review, more play later on in the day, but yeah, it's just always having at least that little bit, like waking up and stretching, right? It's like you're not going to gain tremendous flexibility by waking up and stretching for 5 minutes in the morning, but you're gonna be more flexible than you would be if you didn't do it, right? And over a long period of time, you'll probably gain some flexibility, you know, if you're doing it right. Which is to say safely stretching and, you know, bringing your muscles to their maximum length, I guess, and then holding for a certain period of time, perhaps 30 seconds. So that's part of my morning routine that actually isn't quite in my morning routine yet. It's something I do sometimes. So, you know, I see a little bit of progress, but just the daily, day after day after day after day, I think is a really good way to just make sure that we're always moving forward. All right, these single pairs with a suited ace, I believe we can raise all of them from the button. That's kind of a heuristic that I feel like I've pulled from the pre-flop matrix. I also think I can raise a single limper with the side card being a queen, right? Ace queen with a suited pair, suited to a pair, with the ace being the suited card. This is going to play well. It's going to play okay multi-way, and it's going to play well heads up. A pair of a set of threes, if I hit the three, is nice. Here, I hit top pair. There's so many straights possible. Ace, king, king, 9, 9, 8. I am blocking the nut straight. I'm blocking some top pair, top set type stuff. I do have top pair, top kicker, so I'm going to take it, basically try to get to a showdown. Just check it back. King, I'll bet. A queen, I'll bet for value. And a 7, I think if they check, I'm going to be good here a lot. Like the 7 made a longer straight, right? Now 8, 9 makes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen. And I think I can just fold. And my hand, I don't think I'm giving up all that much equity. They might bet there fairly aggressively. Like maybe they should. Maybe they should just be like, oh, this person checked back twice. The board hasn't really changed. Let me just bomb it. Do they likely have the nut straight? Probably not. I mean, they could have gone for a check raise twice with it and whiffed. They also could have a hand like king 9, and they could have 8, 9. Or even they could have two pair, think they're bluffing, and have the best hand. So I wasn't going to turn my hand into a bluff there. I'd rather have like a pair of aces, I think, and unblock the queen maybe. Maybe like a pair of aces, like a 9. Like ace, ace, 9, 9 would be a really nice bluffing hand. All right. I was contemplating doing a slightly shorter session of playing today and then doing like a month in review, but maybe I'll do the month in review tomorrow. Maybe we'll just start with that and then we'll do this segment. I'm not sure. I had a whole thing where I was going to show graphs, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. It was going to be hilarious. But I didn't get everything all set up because I woke up not late. I woke up like on time, which feels late. To get there early is on time and showing up on time is late. I think is a well-known quote that is in at least one Megadeth song, but I don't think Dave Mustaine came up with it. The song being Blood of Heroes, off of, I think, Euthanasia, which I do recommend. Excellent album. Euthanasia with a Y. Okay. We have a raise, a cold call, jack 8-6. My guess is that the out of position player should be checking this a lot. I've started trying to check more boards where I think I'm supposed to check and then actually get the check raise in when I have a hand that I'm like, oh, I want to bet this. It's like, yeah, but this board isn't that good for my range. So I think those are really good spots to get some check raises in. And I've seen people stack off with just some not very good hands where I have them just plastered. And I think it's because there's this, I don't know, let me know if any of you have this feeling, but like getting check raised, I think there can be this sort of like this emotional reaction of like getting caught or someone's like challenging your authority as the bettor. I don't know. It's a little different than if you bet with tempo and somebody raises you. Like getting check raised by the raiser. It feels like getting trapped, I think. And I think when people feel like they got trapped, they don't tend to behave in a very rational fashion. Unless they've done a lot of study and work and understand how that works. So I think it takes a little bit more of an act of will to not play terribly against a check raise. So, I think, then other people maybe are just going to fold more because they're like, oh, I got trapped. They're not going to think, oh, maybe somebody's actually check raise bluffing here with the initiative. I don't know. Different players do different things. And I guess saying less rational when we observe how, the population kind of plays in these games is maybe not that big of maybe there's not that much room to be less rational when we, you know, we look at some of the sort of the population plays, right? How people play overall. That's not to say that nobody plays very well. I'm sure there are people playing quite well, but we see some things. I mean, I got called down by Deuce 7 Queen Jack on like 2 4 5 6 6 board. So that you know, that's a choice. All right, unfortunately, I wasn't following the action here. For the rest of this session, I think I'm going to zone in and try to follow all the hands that I'm not involved in. This would be a pretty hilarious spot with this hand where we have 2 pair and we have a flush draw and a straight draw, but none of it's really any good, particularly. 7s with a jack and a 6, I think is a little light here, and I'm going to fold. Being suited to the jack is nice. If the 6 were like an 8 or a 9 or a 10, I'd be much more apt to play this hand. We can check it up. Okay, so small blinds raised, big blinds called. In this scenario, I think maybe the big blind has a little less king-king than they would in some other scenarios. They might... No, I think they actually flat a good amount of king-king here. Out of position, though, is also going to have a lot of king-king, queen-queen, king-queen, rundowns and flush draws and stuff that hit that. So I'm not sure if that's a board that they should really be checking a ton. Unclear. I think learning which boards are sort of mostly check boards can have a lot of utility in 2 ways, right? One is if we learn that we're supposed to mostly check certain boards, we can mostly check those boards and probably play better overall, right? Maybe exploitatively we want to bet sometimes against certain opponents with certain parts of our range just because we think that's going to work out. But overall, knowing kind of the game theory approach to those spots, I think can have a lot of value. Second of all, we can then identify when other people are in those scenarios and get a sense of what whether they're following those kind of ideas or not, right? And get a bit of a read on the player. We have a 3-bet pot here that's gone 3 ways, and then the small blind just jams for, you know, almost a pot-sized bet. The button, if they have anything, I imagine is going to call it off. They do have anything. They have queens, and they hold up. Ace, Jack, 10, 9, double suited. That's a nice-looking 3-bet hand, and they flopped the nut flush draw, yeah? So, you know, I wonder what... Yeah, they were actually a favorite on the flop, right? The nut flush draw has 53% there. 5s and deuces, I think I do not flat. A lot of 2-pair hands, I think I'm going to cold call, but... even with the suit, I think 5s and deuces are not going to make it. How many hands have I marked now? I marked like 7 hands already. So we're going to have a lot of work for the Matrix. Was Enter the Matrix. I think, was that... I feel like that was the name of the video game. I think it was like on Xbox or something. Maybe it was PS2. Like, this is back in the day. The original Xbox. It was, you know, it was... I felt like it did not have very intuitive gameplay, like control or whatever. You could like slow things down and play like in bullet time at points, though, I think, which was a cool feature, but it was not it didn't feel like intuitive to me. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, not quite good enough. Suited ace is always nice. Nice component to start a hand with, and then another Broadway card's nice, but the 7 and the 3, everything, it's one of these like things just barely connect, and it doesn't quite add up to a playable hand. All right, so we have, I think, a poster. I think this person posted, right? And then the big blind raised a couple of callers there. King 8 deuce, super dry board, except there's a flush draw out there, but just no straight draws. There can't be fewer straight draws than there are on this board. We get a full pot size bet from in position, which on a board like this is like, okay, I guess, you know, they're setting up almost a shove on the turn, right? They can put almost everything in on the turn. Well, now, yeah. If they get one more call, they could jam turn. And now, like, I don't see any reason for anyone to bet a lot here ever, really. Like, this definitely, this is so static at this point that betting something like 11 or 8 or whatever should work as a bluff, because unless somebody has a boat or a deuce with some kickers that they choose to draw to, they're just, the flush draws are going to fold anyway. So if you have, like, you know, ace king queen jack or some, you know, some king or king 8, you can probably get the flush draws to fold with a very small bet. Or they can call, and if they call, then they're calling against your boats and drawing dead. So they're, you know, the thing is they can draw, but then they know that they might face a pot-sized bet on the river. Ace 4, 6, 3. I think this is a little too weak here. And I'll mark that one as well. All right, for pre-flop. And this hand is just garbage, so we're going to throw... It's not even a good Badoogie. You know, it's a Badoogie, but King High Badoogie, pretty rough. All right, so at least we get a new hand right away. Shall I talk about changing the format again? Maybe I'll change the format tomorrow. Maybe we'll just mix it up right away. Not, like, I might make the morning session just a review, and then have an afternoon session that is multi-tabling. I might do that. I kind of like that idea, but, yeah, I don't know. If you have an opinion, let me know. You know, it's funny because I started this session off talking about the value of just doing the same thing day after day after day. It doesn't mean we can't make alterations, right? I'm not going to stop studying every day, and I'm not going to stop playing every day. At some point, I will stop playing every day because I think taking days off, like off, is healthy. And even review, like just have a day where it's like Wednesday's my day off. You know, I think there's value to that. We can kind of recover our energy. We'll get back to the hand, though. I've got 10, 9, 8, 6. Gap at the bottom. Single suited, but tri-suit. So I've got the, you know, this bonus. This 9 of hearts is a card I would like to just slip to someone else. Maybe. If I make a flush, I actually don't mind having 3 of the suit when I'm 10 high, because then I'm blocking, you know, ace high, king high, queen high, jack high. Like, they can't have ace 9 of hearts if I have the 9 of hearts. So we're going to run into another flush slightly less often, but we're also going to make a flush less often. So that's a downside. Hand like this, we'll look this one up pre-flop as well. How many of these hands do I actually have for post-flop? I really only have one hand that's like a post-flop review, so most of them are going to go pretty quickly. This session, I think from a gameplay standpoint, has kind of been just mostly boring, right? Sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes there's just not that much to talk about. And it's not that there's not that much to talk about. Sometimes there's not that much to do, right? And that's, I think, like maybe the most important skill in poker is to know when not to try to do too much. To know just when, especially in good games, right? If you're playing in games that are very loose and have a lot of weaker players who are just passive and call way too much, like just knowing when not to be like, oh, I've been playing tight, I need to play, you know, some more hands. I mean, here I'm playing 21-17. That's actually roughly that's pretty close to what my stats are overall. I usually play a couple more percent, you know, but even if I was like over here, like this person, you know, across from me, like 14-0, if that's just the cards I've been dealt, that's the cards I've been dealt. And there used to be this idea like, oh, my image is tight, so like now I'm going to just like open it up and steal with these other hands. And I don't know, if you're playing in a live game and you know your opponents are checked out and they're not paying attention, sometimes you can take advantage of something like that. However, if they're checked out and they're not paying attention, then they don't know what your image is, right? They maybe don't care. They know what their cards are. And so, you know, there's certain hands that we can play profitably based on how many players are left and how likely it is that they have good hands. So, given that, I think, you know, there's sometimes there's this urge to just like try and do something, make something happen, make your own luck. but like you can't really make your own luck exactly, right? I mean, there's all these quotes about like luck is the product of preparation and I don't know, opportunity or something, I don't know, or something. But you know, luck is luck. Like you can put yourself in situations to have a more beneficial range of outcomes, but your outcome is going to be one of the possibilities on that range, right? You can't control that. You can't, like, I can work harder next month. I can play better next month. I can do more everything, and I can have worse results than this month because luck is a thing. And I don't think that's something to feel hopeless about. It's something to understand and accept and internalize that our results will be a product of our efforts and our environment and basically how things play out around us, right? There's factors in our control, factors out of our control. All we can do is influence or control the factors that are in our control. I mean, it's kind of in the name right there. So I checked it. I don't really see that much reason to raise a button limper with a hand like this. I do flop the wrap, but the board is paired already. It takes a lot of the value away. Not just because I'm losing equity. I am losing equity because they can have a jack. But on top of that, now I will bet. On top of that, I'm losing the ability to play turns and rivers confidently. So I did put the bet out there. I get raised, and I'm just going to fold. I have no idea what they have. I have no idea what they're doing. But I know that there's not a single river card that I can then put more money in with confidence. And the reason I bet there is basically like, well, if they have nothing, I'll just take the pot now. And if they do have like a straight ace, then I've got equity. But they said, no, I've got something that I'm interested in. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm not that interested. There's going to be other hands that I'm going to bet there that are going to have a jack, that are going to actually like be a boat already, that I'm going to be able to put more action in with. I can have things that do draw to something exciting, although not a lot. I mean, mostly it would have to be a jack. And like maybe I should have potted it instead of half pot. Maybe half pot was this kind of like non-committal, not very effective bet size. I think there's a good argument to be made that that's true. All right, so we have half pot bet from the big blind, and then what looks like pot size raise, which is a very large raise size, right? When somebody bets half pot and then you go ahead and pot it, it's like 5x. So it feels like that is it set them up for a comfortable turn shove, but it feels like sometimes that's a little excessive. They did have a set, which is unsurprising. The other person had a wrap, and they got there. Wow, 53% equity with the wrap on the turn. Wow, that is a big wrap, and they make the fabled 9-card straight, right? They had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's amazing to see that a set is actually behind, not only on the flop, which is reasonable, but on the turn too. Because just like more than half the deck, more than half the cards remaining in the deck are going to make that one player a straight. And the player with the set, I think Clear was just like, oh, let's put all the money in right away. And I'm not saying they're necessarily wrong, and I'm not saying I never do the same. But, you know, I think there is this fear of runouts. And it's like, I think we don't have to be... Like, it's okay to bet an amount that someone's then going to call, and then they're going to get there. And then you can fold. Or maybe with a set, then you have a redraw, right? You can draw to a boat. Whereas just always trying to bet the maximum with anything and like never and try to minimize our exposure to bad runouts, I think is a bit misguided, right? There's spots where we do want to get the chips in as quick as possible, but that's another kind of like emotional thing. I think that sometimes, I know that's one of my bigger sort of overall, I find emotions don't affect my play a lot. They don't. I'm going to rephrase that. I find that emotions don't typically alter my play once I have a clear idea of what I think I'm supposed to do, right? So if I have, like, say, Queen Jack 9-7 with 2 backdoors on this flop, and I'm like, I think I'm supposed to play this very aggressively, I'm not going to have some feeling of fear that's going to keep me from doing that. I'm just going to be like, yeah, this is what I think I should do, and I'm going to do it. But I do think that there are spots where I have feelings about losing my chips or feelings about like maybe doing the wrong thing, and if I don't have some solid logic on which to build a strategy, then my emotions might dictate how I approach the hand, right? And that's something I'd like to work on. For me, the way to work on that isn't so much to try and overcome the emotions. It's more just the 7 and 3, I think, make this unplayable. For me, it's more just like, yeah, we'll just find a way to have logic in all these spots, right? Find a way to always have a logical way to approach the hand, and then just use logic to make the play that I think is correct. And it'll still be wrong sometimes because, you know, I won't have infallible logic, but over time it'll get better and better, and my plays will get more and more effective. But I think one of the things where in PLO, one of the reasons that I might be inclined to be like, oh, let me just bet pot with kings here, is a fear of, or a lack of knowledge of like how to approach different turns and rivers, right? And so there's a little bit of a fear and a tentativeness there, but it comes from a lack of knowledge and a lack of preparation in terms of like, what do you do if you're the small blind and you have a top set here and you bet and they call, and then the river's like a 10 or a 5 or, you know, a ace of clubs? What do you do? And it depends on the opponent, it depends on bet sizing and a lot of things, right? But a lot of times maybe you just fold, and kind of coming to peace with that, like, yeah, if I have the best hand, if I have the nuts, and then the river changes the nuts, so I don't have the nuts anymore, I don't have the nuts. And if I think, one, there's a fair amount of strong hands now in my opponent's range that beat me because of how they played the hand, and two, that they're not necessarily going to have a good ratio of bluffs to value hands there, I think that is a spot where it's fine to just be like, yeah, okay, I can just fold these runouts. And if it's against someone who I know is like very aggressive and likes to bluff a lot, and or is going to have a lot of bluffs in their range, and maybe my hand's a good bluff catcher because maybe I have, you know, top set plus the nut flush blocker, so when they go full pot, like what are they even potting with? I don't know. In those cases, I think it's you know, then I can call if logic gets me to there, right? But the key for me is just actually having access to some sort of way of trying to figure things out. Here, this is very festive looking, but 7-3-4, you know, this doesn't fit together, right? There's a bunch of low cards. This hand is interesting if it folds to me. I do have an ace, and I have a pair, and I have a suit, but the suit's not to the ace, and the stray card is a deuce. So I think this might be a fold that has an ace and a pair and a suit, but because like it's a deuce and it's not suited to the ace, I'll mark this hand again. Let's see, we have a comment from the Ethical Panda. Understanding the emotional things that come up is huge. I feel like managing that is as important as the cards, especially if it can become a problem for you. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody, maybe not everybody, but as far as I understand it, everybody or almost everybody has emotions, right? To some extent or another. It's just part of how the brain works. Different people experience emotions differently. There are going to be different triggers for different people that are going to bring things up. And like, for instance, you know, I know that there's certain things that I don't respond to that emotionally. There's other ones that I do a lot, and there's and how it may or may not affect my play. But the first thing is like just understanding kind of how we work ourselves, right? And being fine with it. Just being like, okay, this is where I am right now. I'm happy to like acknowledge I am who I am, right? And I'm experiencing the world how I'm experiencing the world. And then if there's something that's giving us problems, then we can go in and be like, okay, is there anything I can do about this, right? Can I manage this better? It's less likely that we're going to be able to easily change our emotions than that we're going to be able to find a way to manage them or to function with them. But yeah, I think I think a lot of times also we can then project though on other people and be like, oh, well, this is how I feel and how this emotion affects my game. So I think it probably is how it does everybody. No, it's not how it does everybody. It's likely that if you experience the game a particular way, somebody else has a similar experience, right? That's likely. You know that it's possible because you have that experience, but it doesn't mean that it's universal by any stretch. People are different, right? People have different experiences and experience things differently. From Kevin E. Poker says, for a second I didn't see you online and it freaks me out. Happy to see the streak is still alive. Happy not to disappoint. Thank you for joining. Yeah, we're here. We're here. Don't worry. Holding down the PLO100 streets. Let's look at these hands. Let's look at some hands. I am now going to check them out in the PLO matrix, which is a tool from Upswing Poker. Link in the description below. I'm actually now an affiliate with Upswing Poker, so I'll try and get my affiliate links set up in places where they'll be easy to find. It means that I get a little cut when somebody buys something through it. But I'm really only going to recommend tools that I use myself and am enthusiastic about. This is the first month that I've had the PLO Matrix, and it's the best PLO results month I've had online anyway. I mean, live or on whatever. I've had some good months, but let's see what's up with this hand. Okay, so this is just a clear fold, I'm pretty sure, but I wanted to look up, like, is this a fold on the button? So I'm just going to open it up, and I'll get things set up so that I can... No, this is not a fold on the button. So I can like bring the matrix on the screen. But I think that's going to look kind of ugly if I try to do it today. So what I'm going to just take a note here is 9-9 ace deuce single suited is RFI from button. Good suit equals raise call. Bad suit equals raise fold. Fodl? Okay. The idea being, if I'm suited not to the ace, then if I get 3-bet, I fold, and suited to the ace, then I get to call a 3-bet. I'll click it back and just check out on the cutoff. What am I doing? On the cutoff? In the cutoff? Yeah, so this is a fold in this spot, right? So we'll say 9-9 ace deuce. Bad suit is fold from cutoff. So just open fold. All right, so I played this hand correctly, but my assertion was incorrect. So I learned something, a little something. And we move to the next hand. And as always, anybody who has anything to say about any of these hands, please let me know. I'm trying to learn every day, and I'm also trying to teach every day, right? So I like to explain my thought process more clearly whenever that's possible, and I like to hear what other people have to say about hands. So this is cutoff versus... low jack, right? So I'm going to look that up. It's going to be 10-9 single suited. And this is just a fold. So 10-9 single suited is fold. Cutoff versus low jack RFI. So basically, we just never play. If we have a 10 high and we're single suited, we're just going to fold. Double suited, I think, is going to either be a 3-bet or a call. I'm just going to quickly double check that. Yeah, we're going to 3-bet. So if this hand was double suited, right, if that make the 8 a diamond or something, I'm going to 3-bet. Make the 9 a diamond, any 2 diamonds. We get to 3-bet. Okay, so yeah, we'll just show that I folded, we folded, good. Okay, moving on. I folded this, right? Oh no, did I call this? I folded this. We'll double check this. This is a spot where, you know what? Should I bring the matrix over to the screen? Let's do it. Let's do it today. All right. So this is the PLO matrix. We'll just show this like this, and we'll click back and forth. It might be a little tricky, but we'll try it. Okay. So here I need to be able to see the hand though. All right. So this was the hand ace 6 4 3, right? Double suited and single suited. Sorry, double suited. I would have played it. So I'm the button. Versus it looks like a I'm the big blind. What am I talking about? I'm the big blind. So we go to this column, big blind, and then it's versus the button. So the button raised and we click there, and then it was what, ace 7 something something. We'll click ace 7. This is single suited, the lower left. This isn't really a tutorial. I'm kind of just flying through it, but you'll see ace-7 single suited, right? So we go from the top 2 cards, or if it's a pair, we go from the pair. And then we see 6-5, 5-4, and 5-3. So if we're single suited, and this upper right-hand corner means we're suited to the ace, this lower means we would be suited to the 7 or the lower card. We can see with the 6 and the 3, or a 4 and the 3, we fold. If we had 5-3, ace-7, 5-3, we'd play it. And that's just how it goes. All right, so we'll go to the next hand. So this, wait, oh, 4-3, ace-6. So I looked up the wrong hand. So then, you know, we always want to double check that we're looking up the right thing. So we go back here, we go down to ace-6. This lower left hand, that's single suited. Ace-6, 4-3, that's a fold, right? So we know that. And we can try and absorb a little bit more information from that. Or we can just say, you know what, that's good enough for this. That shall suffice. And we'll just say, yes, this is a fold. We'll say ace-6, 4-3, single suited is fold in big blind versus button, good suit or bad suit. All right, so whether it's suited to the ace or not, it's just a fold. Okay, so far so good in terms of PLO matrix pre-flop stuff. Okay, there's an open raise, and now we've got 5s and deuces. So how are we going to look that up? We're going to click back to the matrix. We are, what was my position? Oh geez. We have to make sure that we remember all these facts. I think I'm the cutoff against a hijack open, right? Yep, cutoff versus hijack open. It would be a lot better probably if I had both of these things on the screen at the same time. Cutoff versus MP. They call hijack MP, they call low jack under the gun. If you're a 4-handed game and you're first to act, you're technically under the gun, but you're not the under the gun position, you're the cutoff, right? That's how it works. So cutoff versus MP, we're gonna look at these ones down here, down the middle. These are this kind of spine, these are pairs. Red is double suited, blue is single suited. We have single suited 5s. What do? Oh, we actually call. Okay, so that, oh, this is 4s even. So yeah, so 5s here. So 5s and deuces are gonna call. So we get to call with a lot of double suited hands. It's funny because yesterday I was watching the Ethical Pandas stream, and they folded 7-7-4-4, and we're talking about how it's not that good. And I'm like, I think you're systematically undervaluing 2-pair hands. And so then what do? The next day I go and I systematically undervalue a 2-pair hand. Whether or not systematic, it was mostly because it was 5s and deuces. But 5-5 deuce deuce single suited is cold call in cutoff versus hijack RFI. So that surprised me. Woo! Okay, the words. So I fold. This was a little too tight. Now I know. But like, how do we get the most out of that? Well, what I want to know is like, what if I have 3s and 2s, right? Am I going to call? Yeah, I'm going to call 3s and 2s. So you can actually go ahead and like look through all these things and try and find like some heuristics, right? What about like 9s and 2s or 9s and 4s? Okay, so some 2-pair hands we can fold like 9s and 4s and 3s. Oh my. You know, what about like jacks? Are we always going to call with single suited jacks? Double pair? Yes, we are, right? So we can kind of try and find which ones we're going to fold and then build some heuristics. And I'm working on kind of, I should make a spreadsheet. I haven't put the work in. So that's a spot where I can put the work in. And my opinion is like, if you can build your pre-flop game to be really super solid, you can beat any good, PLO game, as long as you don't you're not a disaster post-flop, right? You don't even have to play well post-flop. You don't have to play creatively post-flop. Just avoid being a disaster. Just play well pre-flop and don't be a disaster post-flop. Don't be a disaster means don't fold tons of equity, right? If you have tons of equity, find a way to realize that equity by and large. And if you and don't get chips in when you have very poor equity, right? Don't draw to second best hands a lot. Don't call it off with second best hands a lot. Get a sense for how people are playing and find a way to make the folds, right? When it's like, yeah, this is not a hand I'm supposed to be getting there with. So, this is a hand that intellectually I'm looking at it thinking like, okay, well, first of all, I really don't want to get 3-bet, although honestly getting 3-bet might not be the worst. And by 3-bet, I mean squeezed, right? I'm not the pre-flop raiser. But it feels like these little sets, these are going to be little and tiny. But like I can also make a wheel. I can make a 6-high straight, which is often good because 7-5 isn't going to get played as often as like if I have a bigger second nut straight. 5-high flush isn't great, but it adds some equity, right? So when I flop a set, if I have a flush draw or a backdoor flush draw, that's nice. And if I have a set against a big flush draw and I have a little flush draw, I've got blockers, right? It's always nice to have blockers when someone's drawing to beat us. You know, and the big blind is also kind of loose and passive. So, like, there's some value here, I think. Spokel says, and let me know if it's a screen name. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce, but they say, I was surprised to see double pairs or raise calls from under the gun, and now I'm surprised we're calling 5-5 deuce deuce. Seems the program really likes double pairs. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's based on some Munker solves, right? And like, solvers do some funny things, and it's okay sometimes to be like, all right, I don't see how I'm going to play that hand profitably, so I'm going to fold it. Or spots where we're like, okay, I understand that the solver doesn't like having this hand in its range, but like, I think I can play it profitably in this spot. I think that's fine, and good even. But yeah, sometimes they really like these double pairs. I guess you flop a set like a substantial amount of the time, right? Like more than 20%, I think. Like close to a quarter of flops, I think you flop a set. So like, I don't know, that's good. Even though it's like, yeah, but it's gonna be bottom set. Okay, I guess it's good. I don't know. Yeah, sometimes there's just some surprising stuff in solver output for sure. Okay, here we have sevens with a jack and a 6, and I folded it, and I think that this is a close fold. I think there's going to be something that we're going to play that's going to be close. So it was sevens with a 6 and a jack. I'm the button. I'm going to go to button, raise first in. Here I'm going to go to single suited sevens. Yeah, so you see jack 8, jack 9, jack 10. I was saying I think I would play those. Jack 6 is a fold. So it's close, but it's a fold. And then like 9-5, 8-5, these things, there's more connectivity, right? The 6 and the jack kind of negate each other's connectivity to the 7. So 7-7, jack 6, single suited is fold on button. 7-7, jack 8 is RFI call, right? And the other thing about looking at these charts is that I feel like, all right, single suited sevens, I'm mostly calling if I raise, right? I usually get to see a flop. I've got a suit, I've got a pair, and I'm only raising it if I've got some connectivity, right? Or a second pair or something like that. So yeah, 7-7 deuce deuce, we get to raise call, right? So yeah, some interesting stuff. Let's go back to this. I folded, and I think the next hand maybe we're going to actually get some post-flop action, because I think it's pretty clear that this is not going to be a pre-flop question. All right, so I flop top pair, top kicker, over pair, and no backdoor anything. But I do have a backdoor, like a blocker, right, to some backdoor stuff. So I check. I check because I think this is like their flop. I'm out of position. It feels like just... I don't think I want to be betting this flop a lot. I'm in the cutoff, right? I'm mostly supposed to be betting ace high boards, but I'm not sure. So I do like having the king in my hand. I'm blocking a lot of things that they can have. They check it back. The 7 is an interesting turn. It puts a lot of straights out there. And then I also pick up the nut blocker, right? The backdoor diamond nut blocker. So if I had aces with a diamond here, I might go ahead and bet. So I'm not sure how credible my line is, but maybe I would check, right? And I do check this, and they bet half pot, and I call for 2 reasons. One, there's a non-zero chance my hand is good, right? They can be bluffing. They can be trying to bet like ace-king for value or something, although that's not super likely. I have a king, and I have 2 aces. So I don't think they're value betting stuff that I'm ahead of, but they can just be kind of trying to clean up equity with a hand that they think might be good, but they just want to get some folds. And second of all, I have the ace of diamonds. So if I call and then an ace comes off, I'm like, I think I could just bet and get them to fold like straights, get them to fold 2 pair for sure. Some sets even, right? Unless they have a good diamond blocker. If they have like the king of diamonds and like a 7 or something, maybe they call. But I decided to bet. I bet half pot because I feel like that's likely what I would do in this spot. It's possible that I should go more polar and just pot and basically be betting ace of diamonds with or without a second diamond and have that basically be my range here. But I go half pot because it just, to me, it felt like I just asked myself, what would I do if I had the nuts here? I'd be like, I think I want to get some value from them, and I think I would half pot it. So that's what I went with. They folded, And I think that's like the only post-flop hand I have to review today. Spokal says, yeah, and I figured maybe we need some board coverage from those positions. Yeah, that's a really good point, right? Solvers often do things because it allows us to play a wider range of boards more effectively. Like, we can actually rep stuff when a deuce comes, when a 5 comes, when a 3 comes, because we're cold calling with those pocket pairs in our range. Whereas if we don't do any of that, or if we don't open double pair combos with a low pair in the earlier positions, then just those cards are just bricks and we can never rep. So we don't have enough value hands on certain things. The Ethical Panda asks, ace, ace, king, jack. You said no backdoor. Don't you have backdoor straight? Yes, I meant backdoor flush, but yeah, that's absolutely. I do have, we'll just go back and show the flop. I do have a backdoor nut straight. Yeah, I can catch a queen and a 10, and I would have the backdoor nut straight. That is true, for sure. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the flushes, I have no backdoor flushes, but I do have the backdoor Broadway, and that's a good thing to note, right? I mean, that matters. I can catch runner nuts that way. So yes, that is accurate. Okay, so there's a raise, and did I raise this or I folded it? I think this is maybe close. So small blind versus button, ace, queen, 10, 6, right? So we'll go here. We'll go small blind versus button, and then we have ace, queen, 10, 6, single suited. I think this is probably, okay, so it was close, right? And I felt like it was close, and I'm supposed to 3-bet and fold with like ace, queen, 10, 7. And then ace, queen, jack 6 is also a fold, but ace, queen, jack 5 and jack 4, I guess the 5 connects for a wheel. Maybe it also unblocks some stuff we don't want to block, right? Again, solvers do weird things. So let's go back and just make a note of this one. We've got ace, queen, 10, 6 single suited is fold in small blind versus button RFI. Ace, queen, 10, 7 good suit is 3-bet. Okay, cool. So we learned a little bit there, and that was accurate. That was well played, us. Okay, and then here I call. I think there's a non-zero chance that I can 3-bet this hand, but I think it's probably mostly a call. And let's see. So, okay, so I am the big blind versus small blind, and I have ace 10 single suited, which side cards, basically any ace 10 single suited I get to play, and I kind of 3-bet like a smattering. I 3-bet fold when I 3-bet, so I actually want to do it less often when I have the nut suit, because I want to take flops with the nut suit because there's a lot of value in that. If I'm suited, say, to the 9, if I have ace 10, 9, 8, and I'm suited to the 9, now I'm 3-betting, and if I get 4-bet, I can just fold, because my hand doesn't play that well. So that's kind of hard to execute, but I will make a general note that says ace 10, 7, 5 single suited is call big blind versus small blind. Good suit. Call almost all ace 10 single suited. 3-bet some decent bad suit combos. So I kind of know what that means. That's not like how I would write it in a book or something, but that should suffice for now. Ethical Panda says queen 10 gives you Broadway. Small chance, but still backdoor. Yes, correct. Absolutely. All right, let's see. Does something happen post flop? Oh, I flop nothing. And by nothing, I mean not nothing, right? Let's actually talk through all the things I have. I have a gut shot. That's the first thing. I have 0 outs to the nuts, right? My gut shot is going to be to the second nuts, so I can make a wheel backdoor. I can make a 7 high straight backdoor. I can make a Broadway backdoor, right? So I have multiple backdoor straight draws, and I have backdoor diamonds. I'm kind of blocking my backdoor diamonds. But if we think about like what are good turn cards, okay, a 9, especially a 9 of diamonds, because then if they have, straight over straight me, I have outs. Okay, a 9. I mean, any diamond is okay-ish. A 2, a 4, a 6 of diamonds, right? A king, a queen of diamonds. These give me a flush draw and at least a gut shot. So There's some decent turn cards, but not a lot. If I had a second flush draw, like backdoor flush draw, maybe we put a bet in here. If instead of 10-7, it was like queen 10, and I have a gut shot to the nuts, maybe we put a bet in. I check it back. They bet. I was saying that on this card, I think I can rep an 8. So if they check, I think I can maybe try and take a stab here. I have the 7, so I'm blocking some combos that might continue. I'm not blocking any of the pair or boat type stuff, but I don't think they have it that often. But they go ahead and 3/4 pot, and, you know, we move on to the next hand. I don't think there's too much to be said about that fold. And then this one I just folded here. We're going to look up in the matrix. Queen, so we're the small blind. We're going to look at the small blind raising range, and it's going to be queen jack, double suited, right? So small blind raising range, let's see, here, and then queen jack double suited, and we can see queen jack 4-3. Oh, okay. But this is good suit, right? And the top right side of the matrix, that half or whatever, that's going to be good suit, which means I'm suited to the queen and I'm suited to the jack, right? In a double suited combo, I'm suited to both of my top 2 cards. I'm not. I'm suited to the queen and I'm suited to the 4. So now I look on the bottom, bad suit. That's a fold, right? So the hand was, as I was saying, and you know, it's a difference. It makes a difference. So queen jack 4-3 bad suit is fold, small blind. Queen jack, we'll just say good suit is RFI call, right? So if I was suited to the queen, like if you make the 3 of clubs a jack of clubs, so I have that's not a way to say it. Basically, switch the suits of the jack and the 3, and then that's good suit, right? So how do you account for 3 to a single suit in the matrix? You don't. You just if something's on the edge, you just know that it's a little bit weaker, so maybe you fold the thing that's on the edge because it's a little weaker. You know, there's so many combos in PLO that having literally every combo represented is going to be, I think, too much, right? It's possible. I mean, maybe that'll be a tool in the future. But I think the PLO matrix has a good balance between giving you the raw solver output and something that's playable. One thing that we could do, though, I'll do an example actually on the next hand. Let's see. So I did fold this, right? And then we move to the next hand, which is going to be one more pre-flop consideration. All right, king 10-9-6, double suited. So this is from the cutoff, and we get 3-bet. So just let's start with the question. This is actually a little more complicated, but we'll say in the cutoff, king 10 double suited with a 9 and a 6. We'll look, and that's a raise. And actually, out of position, we can 4-bet this hand, right? So this hand we can 4-bet out of position. I was in position, so I just called. Out of position, we often want a lower SPR. We're happier to get folds pre, whereas in position, we can have a higher SPR. We get a little more out of our positional advantage. So that's the thing. For the tri-suit thing, we'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to that question next. First, I want to go back here, and I'm going to select down on the bottom. It's going to say raise first in versus squeeze, right? So that's going to give fewer options. I was the cutoff. Is this right? Okay. So I was the cutoff, 100 big blinds, right? 100 big blind cutoff. I raised first in, and then I got squeezed. So I had king 10, suited with a 9 and a 6. And here, actually, out of position, if I'd gotten squeezed, which is weird, how do you get squeezed out of position? I guess somebody raises behind you, and then I'm not sure I'm using this correctly, but in position, right on the left, that means I can call in a squeeze spot when I opened the cutoff here. So I'm gonna ask some questions and make sure that I understand how to use these correctly. I haven't been using this that much, specifically this squeeze, right? Raise versus in versus squeeze. But that sort of shows us that, yes, I think that hand, we can play it that way. So we call, they call, and then here, just flopping nothing, not much to talk about post flop. basically, I mean, if I even flopped a pair, I might get it in, right? If I flop a pair and some backdoor business, um, that's the thing about these spots. Like, we kind of have to be at peace with a certain amount of gamble, where it's just like, yeah, well, your range is going to have a lot of ace ace, and if I have a pair here, we can pop up the equity calculator, right? And we'll just show, let's say they have, I'm just going to give them random aces, and I'm going to make the top card a 9, right? And then we'll go select, and we'll give them single range selector, pair, and we'll say aces. Doesn't have to be or better. That's just it. And we'll run it. Okay, and I have 37% equity. So maybe I don't want to just jam. But, you know, if I added just a little bit more equity. Oh, I did say a double backdoor, right? So let's make this a diamond. And now let's look at our equity. It's going to be like around 40. Yeah, so it's right around 40. So if you think about 40% equity, well, there's 44 in the middle. And stacks are in, you know, in the SPR is basically 2 to 1, right? At a 2 to 1 SPR, you get stacks in, and you're putting in 40% of the pot, right? There's basically 1 in the middle, 2 from them, 2 from you. So the total is 5, and 2 are from you. 2 out of 5 is 40%. So 40% equity is pretty good, right? In a spot like that. And is enough where it's like, yeah, maybe you just get it in. Maybe you just call and then you jam turns where you get there. I'm not sure exactly, but we have to be comfortable with, like, when we build these really big pots, sometimes we just get it in with, like, basically any piece. And we just kind of hope that we're not running into a set, especially on a board like this, where it's like, what are they going to have with their ace ace? I guess they can have ace ace 4 4 or something, right? If they have some other random ace ace, they're not really going to, like if they have ace ace king king or ace ace queen jack or something, and we have this, but this is a 9, I think we're probably roughly flipping. Okay, so I did say we're going to take a look at thinking about what to do with a tri-suit in the matrix, and this will be the last thing for the day. We'll go to cutoff, right? And what is this? We're going to look at King 10 single suited, right? So let's say King 10 9 6. No, this is double suited. I want to go single suited. Spokel asks about graphs of 38-day challenge. Yeah, I was going to show it today. I was thinking maybe I'll show it tomorrow. Maybe I'll just pop it up for a peek today. What do we have here? We have single suited. All right, so we're going to go King 10 single suited. We can look at this and say King 10 9 8. All right. That we're going to play single suited as an RFI in the cutoff. Now we go to rainbow, and okay, we're not playing any of those. So we can click that off and say, all right, if it's tri-suit, I'm not sure. King 10 9 8, I think tri-suit we play. King 10 7 6 or 9 7, these are further down. Maybe those are ones we drop off, right? We can look at bad suit also. King 10 9 7 bad suit we do play. So I think King 10 9 7 suited to the king, I think that one we're going to play. But since we drop off 7 6, if it's suited to like the 10 or the 7, I'd say maybe that's the one where tri-suit we're going to fold, right? We kind of have to figure it out. I'm going to try and get one that's a little more clear, like King Queen here. King Queen Jack 10, we're going to raise that in the cutoff, single suited. But what if we're tri-suit, right? What if we have 4 spades or something? Well, let's look at rainbow. We're still raising King Queen Jack 10. That's rainbow. That's no flush draw. So tri-suit or even quad suit is better than rainbow. So we're definitely going to raise all of these tri-suit, right? For sure. The other hands, we're going to kind of have to interpolate or whatever, where we say like, okay, well, Jack 7 is barely a raise and a fold. So maybe that's the one that tri-suit I decide to fold, right? Or Jack 8 suited to the queen. We can't be suited to the Jack if we're tri-suit. And if we're mono suit, we have to be suited to the king, right? But so yeah, those are some ways that we can try to extract, squeeze a little bit more data out, come up with some thoughts anyway. So yeah, I'm going to all right, do we want a graph? I think we want a graph. This is my 38-day graph here. That's 38 days. As you can see, it's just going down steadily. That's my weight loss graph though, so that's been going well. I've lost about 13 pounds in 38 days, which is an unsustainable rate of progress, but you know, early on it's usually a little easier. We'll go to Poker Tracker though, and we'll just bring that over. And should we just go to graphs? Yeah, we'll go here and we'll float this on over. Like there. And that's my graph. I guess is that just a month? I think that's just a month. But as you can see, I've been running hotter than the sun. 29.52 big blinds per 100 is a super unsustainable win rate. And, 11,000 hands. That's not a lot of hands. I was doing a lot of one tabling and two tabling this month. I'm going to do a little more three tabling, a little more four tabling next month. Maybe putting more of that on stream. Let me know if that's something that you're more interested in or less interested in. I know we've already had some requests for more of this one tabling, that people enjoy it. Personally, I'm mixed, right, in terms of what I enjoy doing, what I enjoy watching. I think having some mix of the two is maybe a good way to go. Have a morning stream that's going to be this one table focus, and a lot of session review, and then have an afternoon stream where I'm just kind of chilling, playing three tables. I'd like to get some music for that. I was thinking of just like composing some of my own, but that's a whole project, and who has time for more projects? So anyway, yeah, this is my June. I guess I can, this is kind of all of my PLO. So this is only, so as you see, this part was before I got the PLO matrix. And then the other part was after. So is that cause and effect? Not really. I think it's helped. I think it's definitely helped. But yeah, so I've played 15,000 hands at PLO 100. I've run at 19 big blinds per 100, which is ridiculous. I mean, you can see this absurd upswing here. Basically early on, I had really not much idea what I was doing with my pre-flop range, like facing a bet, stuff like that. So that was difficult, right? It was two things that were bad about that. One, it was mentally exhausting in that I was in all these spots where I just had no confidence about what I was supposed to do. And now I don't know what I'm supposed to do in all spots, but I know that at the end of the session I can look it up, right? I can look it up afterwards and I can learn from it. So I found that very liberating and freeing, and I think I'm just playing better pre-flop as well. I was doing a lot more over limping, right? I don't think that's great. I think there's spots where it can be fine, but overall I don't think it's great. And I think this challenge has helped in terms of just being like, I'm not even really calling it a challenge, but I guess I just did. It's more of a journey, because it's not like I'm going from here to here, right? It's like I know where I'm starting and I know the direction I'm heading, but I don't have a really clear end point, right? It's not like 510 PLO on PokerStars or bust. Like, that'd be cool. But overall, just continuing in this direction, hopefully more in this upward, but this slope is just not sustainable. So I know I'm gonna have some more areas that look like this but are a lot bigger, right? And that's just how it goes, right? So I need to kind of emotionally prepare myself for that without expecting it to happen. And so when it does, assuming I'm still on this journey on Twitch and on YouTube, you'll get to see me deal with the downside of variance. That's gonna happen, right? Sooner or later. And having a nice little cushion of pleasant results early on, I think is just helpful. It makes it easier to deal with that kind of stuff. Okay, let's see. We've got a couple more comments from Spokel. Nice weight loss. I've been doing the intermittent fasting diet. Yeah, for me, I think intermittent fasting doesn't really work that well, just because of the way my blood sugar works. I know it works great for some people, and just like anything, I think it's like we just need to find what works for us. I'm not doing literal intermittent fasting, but what I am doing is I'm making sure I'm like not eating after a certain hour, and that hour is not that early, right? It's just like I'm not really eating between like 11 p.m. and 9 a.m. So I have like a 10-hour window that I just don't eat, and I think that helps, right? Also starting my day with a smoothie and then not eating a breakfast until a little while later, or a meal until a little while later. Having this stream where it's like, okay, I'm going to be here. I'm not going to be just eating a second breakfast really fast. I think that's helpful. Spokel says, damn sick. 29 big blind per 100. Oh, misread 19. Didn't misread. First graph was just June. Second graph includes May. So yeah, so this is 19 blinds per 100. This is since I started the challenge, and then I'll just go back to the prettier one for the last the sign off screen. This is this month. It's been a ridiculous month. I got affiliate status on Twitch, which is nice. I can now get subscribers on Twitch, and I'm gonna add some more functionality and like channel points and stuff like that. I think that'll be fun. Two, now I'm an affiliate on Upswing, and I have a poker tracker affiliate link as well. And so that's nice, like being able to get some. I view it as kind of like rake back because I play on Ignition where there's no rake back. I don't have rake back anyway. Maybe some people do, but I don't have any. And the rake is quite high, so that's a little rough. So like getting a little bit secondary source of income is nice. If I could run like this all the time, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But yeah, this month I've run at 29.5 big blinds per 100. My one at Showdown last night before I played a little bit more, and then this session was over 60, which is ridiculous. That's winning 3 out of 5 Showdowns. That's not supposed to happen. All in EV is a little lower than this, but I do feel I've been playing well. I feel I've been improving every day a little bit by a little bit. And next month, I don't expect to have results that are this good, but I expect to play better, right? So in the long run, I think I'm optimistic about the long run. But I'm realistic about like next month. Probably, maybe I'll make the same amount of money, but I'll play 3 times as many hands. I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Same place, new month. Cheers.